Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Fargo Native American Commission today. And what I'd like to do is have Willard Yellowbird start us out with a prayer today.
Thank you for asking me to do the prayer today. I know there's going to be some trying times in this coming year. A lot of things going on within our people and within our country. But let this prayer reflect that. Hear us, Creator. Creator, listen to our prayer, for we are all your children. We ask our ancestors and leaders who are in the world today to find us and to listen to our prayer today and have pity on us. Creator, we thank you for giving us another day to feel your warmth, healing, and love in the spirit of the universe. We thank you for the lessons that you have taught us in patience, generosity, compassion, and love for one another. Let us walk in your beauty and make our eyes behold the red and purple sunset. Make our hands respect the things that you have made and our ears sharp to hear your voice. Make us wise so that we may understand the things that you have taught us and our people. Let us learn the lessons that you have hidden in every leaf and rock. Creator, we seek your strength, not to be greater than our brothers, but to fight our greatest enemy, ourselves. Make us always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes. Holy Father above, we bow down to you. You alone are holy. You own everything in this whole world. You're a chief over all. I thank you for being here with us today. I ask you to give us your blessing and watch all who are here today and watch all their families and those who are struggling in this world. With all the love and my compassion and healing that flows through my blood and spirit, may it also flow through all you today and every day. Thank you. Aho.
Thank you, Willard. And what we'll do is we welcome everybody again, and then we're going to go start with introductions. And who do we have on the phone? Nobody? Okay. All right, we can go ahead and start. Rebecca.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Knutson, and I am the liaison from the Fargo Board of Education to the Native American Commission.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Sharon Whitebear from the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation.
Whitney Fear, Ogallala, Lakota.
Lenore King, Sisseton Wapaton Oyate.
Anna Johnson, Turtle Mountain.
Heather Keelery, Hunktawan Nation, Eastern Shoshone.
Chelsea Snyder, 3 affiliated tribes.
John Strand, Fargo City Commission.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to go ahead and approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion to approve the agenda and minutes.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say yes.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carried. All right, and then can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carried. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with public comment. And to make public comment more accessible to the public, we are testing out having it in the beginning of the meeting. And we ask that you please keep your public comment to 2 minutes. We mean no disrespect and do not want to cut anyone off. We just need to keep time as we have a very full agenda today and many guests to hear from. For each speaker, there will be a green light at the podium, and when it turns red, your time has concluded. We have allotted 20 minutes for public comment, then we must move on. And if you do not get your public comment today, please come to a future meeting or email the planning@fargond.gov or call 701-241-1474 or stop to the planning department upstairs. Okay, and as outlined on the sign-up sheet, speakers must state their name and will be limited 2 minutes. Comments should not contain profanity and should not include any kind of personal attacks. By signing up, persons wishing to speak agree to these terms. And who is the first person on the list, Catlin?
The first person on the list is Sandra Berlin.
And to make public comment,
Sorry, that was my fault.
okay, Sandra's gonna be at the end. So the next person,
The only two on the list are Sandra Berlin and Joe Whitehock. So if there's
Okay.
anyone else.
there's nobody else that wants to have any public comments? Okay. All right, then we'll just go ahead and, did you want to speak now? If there's no other people first, would you like to speak, Sandra? Or would you rather wait till the end? Okay, all right. And here we go, we're gonna start,
No, there was another person.
oh, there was?
Did you say Catlin?
Joe Whitehock.
Okay, he's with Sandra. Okay, now we can go forward. Okay, number 4 on the agenda is the presentation, NDS Land Acknowledgement and Indigenous Efforts with Heather Keeler. Go ahead, Heather.
We actually have NDSU representatives.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, thank you for inviting us today. My name is Laura Oster-Alland. I'm the Vice Provost for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management at NDSU. And I'll let Tara introduce herself.
Hische, my name is Tara Nelson. I'm a citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation and a descendant of Cherokee and Comanche nations. I am a doctoral student at North Dakota State University studying education.
We're very pleased to be with you today to report on the progress of the land acknowledgement statement that has been before this group prior. First of all, we want to thank you for your previous feedback. Heather did a wonderful job of collecting that feedback and sharing it with our group and incorporating it into our statement. So the president appointed a formal committee to finalize the statement and provide some educational language to accompany the statement on our website. And he did this to be sure that all voices were heard and to elevate the institutional importance of the statement. So I'm chairing the committee along with a co-chair, Donna Grandboys, who I believe had been on this commission previously. And Donna was not able to be here today, so asked that Tara and I present. The committee is made up of 11 individuals, faculty, staff, and students, 7 of which are Native American people. We hope to roll out the statement this fall because there was a lot of work done on the statement prior by several folks, Tara being one of them, Heather, as well as other folks at NDSU. And really, we want this statement to be a statement of relationship to help us with that relationship with our Indigenous people. And we also understand that actions need to follow these words. So feel free to jump in, Tara.
Yeah. So with this statement, we're hoping to do a lot of education as well as create a lot of visibility for Indigenous peoples at NDSU and within our community. Some of the examples that we have been kind of beginning to mull over as a committee are the visibility of the statement, so potentially going into publications and on our website, as well as events and encouraging faculty to use the land acknowledgement and take that education opportunity in their chorus syllabi are a few of the examples.
Some other actions that the president actually briefed the committee about earlier this week include our information technology department is working with the tribal colleges on some IT infrastructure needs. He was also pleased to report that our Grandmother Earth's Garden, which had existed near the Memorial Union at NDSU, which was native plants and a place for us to gather and remember our indigenous roots, that is being relocated to a very prominent location near our horticulture demonstration gardens on the west side of campus. And a committee has worked with him to do that. And then we also recently received word that we got a federal grant through the National Institute for Food and Agriculture to help us provide holistic support for our Indigenous students at NDSU, scholarships and additional support. So we're excited about that. And also part of that grant is to really strengthen relationships with tribal colleges. And finally, we are working with our Native American Student Organization to display flags of the North Dakota tribe in the Memorial Union to be another visible symbol of welcome to all. And then finally, the president has recently appointed a presidential commission on diversity, inclusion, and respect, and that certainly is inclusive of all people, and Indigenous people included, but we'll focus on just making our campus a more welcoming place. So we will be happy to take questions at this time, if that is appropriate for the chair.
Yes, we can go ahead and start with Chelsea on that side. If you have any questions, go ahead and just go down the line.
I really appreciated the visibility statement, and if you would be able to read that for anybody who is not familiar with the land acknowledgement statement from NDSU.
Oh, and that's the one thing I did not bring is the actual statement.
Well, we're still making last minute edits.
Yeah, and it's not final. Yeah. So what I didn't say is the committee will bring it back to this group once it's final. So we're still doing some small tweaks and changes. But yeah, I didn't bring the draft with today. Apologies.
No worries.
I don't have anything.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
No, I just want to thank you also for coming and acknowledging this, and hope to see you back again soon.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming and for this work. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Well, welcome, ladies. I do want to state something is that I was there when we started this garden at the NDSU as a student there then too. And the name of this garden is actually Grandmother Earth's Gifts of Life.
Yes.
And that was named by a elder from the Rickará Nation. The call was put out to see if anybody from all the tribes, if anybody wanted to come up with that. And there should be a tape there somewhere that she made a tape, and she talked extensively about the Native American produce and things that the Rickaras had, but also the detriment of the commodities that were distributed to Native peoples and how that changed our way of life quite a bit. And so that's some of the information that was on that tape. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that grant you have, are you seeking to try to encourage like the high school graduates from this area to continue education with that? Are you using that for something to do that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for both of those comments. And on the first one, thank you for that reminder about the full title. I actually Googled that this morning, and that full title did come, and it's beautiful. And I will certainly advocate that be kept, and we'll seek out the tape that you mentioned. I know that Heather was on the group that worked on writing of the grant, but I do believe a portion of that is working with high school Indigenous students to encourage them to attend higher education. But I think Heather can feel free to jump in if there's more she knows about the grant.
Yeah, the three elements of the grant are to recruit, retain, and graduate Native American students. And so, like we have been doing with our cultural diversity tuition waiver, we work pretty close with our Indian education programs here, but also just in the region in general. We hope that maybe there's some possibilities of growth into that program or something else as far as scholarships go, but also getting more students on campus earlier so that they can, well, social distance wise, but that they can visibly see themselves on campus, especially for first generation students. And so we just got word that we were awarded on Sunday. So we're still trying to really figure out, it's a little bit of a lower dollar amount that we originally expected. So just kind of trying to tweak it to make sure that it's the best that we can do with the money that we were received.
Thank you for answering that. And just another note is the elder that her name is Dolores Wilkinson, the lady that gave that name.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Laura. Good to see you.
Yes, you too.
As a member of Fargo's Board of Education, I am looking forward to seeing how this process continues to play out and what the final decision is in regard to that land acknowledgement statement and how the university is looking to incorporate it and how the work that NDSU is doing might translate into the work that other public entities within the city of Fargo especially can use as a guide to potentially help follow in that path. So I'm looking forward for that information to be shared with us publicly.
Absolutely. And I know we will be doing some educational components along with the statement, as Tara mentioned. And I think that'll be great, something great that teachers could use, or even the school board if they wanted to embrace their own kind of statement. So
Thank you.
yeah.
John?
Thank you for being here. I'm just curious to what degree this land acknowledgement statement process might ripple out to the Board of Higher Ed or to other universities like UND. Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, actually, multiple institutions in higher education for a long time and have been continuing to grow towards truth and reconciliation efforts for Indigenous peoples. So the concept of a land acknowledgement culturally is not new for any Indigenous peoples here, but to really bring it into and adopt and enact in higher education also is not new. UND has already adopted a land acknowledgement statement, and they also have a website that talks about their process and their growth in that, as well as kind of projecting of how they continue to support Indigenous American students at their institution.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think NDSCS also recently adopted a statement, and the university system has a diversity council, and I believe it is on their radar, but I'm not certain if there's any formal effort to adopt something. But I think it's in some ways it's a very individualized campus process that needs to happen, with the campus really exploring, their roots and their relationship, I think, with their Indigenous people. But
Thank you.
yes.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting us.
Okay, we're gonna go to item 5, and this is the presentation for North Dakota Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. And we have Tanya Redroad, who is the parent coordinator with North Dakota Federation of Families for Children and Mental Health, to provide us an overview. Tanya?
Okay, is this, oh, good, I'm gonna put it there. All right, well, thank you for letting me come and introduce a little bit about the Federation of Families. Like you said, my name is Tanya Redroad, the parent coordinator. Our program is pretty much advocacy and support for, we support our parents, but we also advocate for the children of those parents on a level for mental health, emotional health, and behavioral health. So sometimes we may be located directly in the school, especially with IEPs, individual learning plan, or education plans, just kind of helping the parents navigate what they need in that. And then we also work like within social services, the court systems. So anywhere where maybe there's issues that people are not understanding those mental health challenges, then we can come in and we can provide some information and kind of help that parent make sure that their family stays intact and they get the resources that they need. So we sometimes are all over the place. We also make sure that we're at the forefront of our legislation, making sure things get passed, like the 1959 that got passed, making sure that peer support is available for our families, our children, and just keep plugging in and working towards more mental health awareness in North Dakota. So that's kind of like a real quick picture. And I do have some information, so I'll leave that with you guys as well, like our brochures and stuff to tell more about that. And I know that for us, we've worked with any kind of group. It's not just like for Natives or just for Caucasian. It's any family. It's very diverse. But we also work with the LGBTQ. I can't even talk today. Q community. So anybody who just is needing that support, we're there. We want to make things happen for our kids to have safe experiences in our school systems and wherever they are receiving services. So that's all I really have. You guys said 3 minutes. Was that good?
Thank you, Tanya. And for the commissioners here, if you have any questions, we can start to the left with John. Okay. Chelsea?
First off, I want to thank you for coming here and doing this presentation. As a parent who's struggled finding the fit between a 504 and an IEP and getting the school support in that, I wish I would have known about this program years ago. I really appreciate it. And if there's any way we could get contact information, I'm pretty sure it's on the brochure, just so that we can make that public, so that any family who's experiencing difficulties communicating with that school has the ability to bridge the gap with this organization. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you more.
Yes. And that information, so I can just say that real quick. So my email is just tredroad@ndffcmh.com. And then you can call my office number is 701-235-9923.
I guess I have two questions. What is the age range? I know you say school, but is it K through 12? And is there any
Yes.
higher ed support?
And it is K through 12, and we also work with transition. So we also work with those students who are transitioning, whether it's college or job or whatever. So we even go beyond that.
Okay, so like as students are moving to our community for school, if they need supports, it's a program that they could partner with you?
Absolutely. If they need some help navigating things, they're new to the area, absolutely we'll help them.
Okay, and then often when we do supports that's tied to any sort of mental health, there's usually like an insurance. I always feel like there's insurance barriers. Is there any cost for this program for families?
So we don't necessarily have funds for cost, but we do work with a couple folks in town to try and help them access those. And so that's really like where that support comes in. We want to help them get that covered or get the resources that they need to make that happen. So we don't necessarily personally for organizations to do that, but we definitely reach out and figure that out. And we do have it's actually the Crisis Center. They're kind of working with us to try and fill those gaps, and I know that they're going to be part of that 1915I, so then they can probably even extend their services for those who may not be fully insured.
I think that's great. The last thing is I know that a lot of this stuff is just always focused in North Dakota, but we have to remember that we're a border city and we have Morehead right across the river. Do you have the capacity to reach out and help families and students that live in Morehead as well?
So yes, we are North Dakota chapter, but we also know that we're not going to divide too much because of the different legislative issues and stuff. We can't always provide like that on a bigger level, but I always show up to IEP meetings or things that if parents are needing that. My boss says we're not going to let the river divide us and that we can go over and provide that. Just some of the other stuff we may not be able to, but for sure like IEPs and just kind of helping navigate parents through that system, we can.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions right now. Thanks for coming, though.
Yes, thanks for coming, Tanya, and it's interesting to know what your program does.
I'm super thankful that you're here. I'm a mental health professional by trade, and even if parents don't necessarily have their children seeing me for their mental health concerns, I do encourage them to contact your organization if they're saying, why my anxiety is high. I'm really stressed out about my kid's IEP meeting. I have no idea what they're talking about. In those meetings, I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I can't ask questions, and I'm like, I know exactly who you should call because they will help you with that and be there even just for support. So I think it's a great, excellent service in the community. So thank you for providing it, and thanks for coming. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Tanya, and thank you for the information.
No questions. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to item 6, and that is the subcommittees and work plan here. And first of all, we have invited several guests to our meeting today whose work relates to these subcommittees. I'd like to give them each 1 to 2 minutes to provide an overview of their work and how the Native American Commission can be a partner. So we will go ahead and let Leah from Gladys Ray start first. And
hello, Leah from the Gladys Ray Shelter. I am probably going to talk forever, so tell me to shut up when you need to. So for those that don't know, the Gladys Ray opened 12 years ago as a response to the city of Fargo because people were dying on the streets every year. A large number of individuals that access shelter with us are Native American. Right now, the biggest thing that we are working on is with COVID, a bonus came out of COVID, you guys. We have been able to they've lowered the barriers for housing. So we have struggled with getting IDs and birth certificates for individuals. And now we can actually get some into housing without that information. We are currently have 1 guy moving into housing today who is Native American. We have 3 more that are just waiting for the move-in dates. And we have 18 applications pending. So housing is a huge push that we're really doing for everybody. They're not going to be able to move on until they have a home of their own and that stability, so they can move on and focus on what they want to do. God, I can talk about a million different things. Do you guys have any questions for me? I'm really bad at keeping time too, so.
it's okay. We can start from the right here, Rebecca.
I don't, thank you.
I just want to know if you have like some programming and things that you want us to connect with you on. If there's anything like that through the health and wellness part of it, I think I'll just volunteer you. I think Whitney would be great.
Yes. I think one of the big things that we could generally use help with is when we are advocating for individuals, when they we had 3 individuals who applied for apartments with a place in town. They were all denied. We were able to appeal those and they all got reversed. And it was actually a total of 4 Native American individuals. When it comes to things like that, I think it could be very helpful for you guys to also be able to advocate with us. Those all happen to go really, really well. But we're really doing a push for more. And we know a big piece is, either mental health or the legal issues that people have had in the past. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be successful and they finally have the opportunity for housing. So being able to help us educate landlords maybe, I think is a big piece. We do have some landlords that are really starting to learn and change their ideas on giving people chances. Goldmark is a big one. They're actually the ones that are currently renting to the 4 individuals. As soon as we have move-in dates, 1 is today. But I think helping us and coming up with a way to better educate the landlords to give them more of a chance or having them give more chances to individuals.
I'd also think that we had some housing here before, and we talked about landlords. And I know the rules in this town don't cover the like individual landlords who they don't have to abide by some of the same things if you were like, say, a large company like Goldmark. So to have something legally changed, I mean, there's an interest there because then a lot of the people that need that service for lower income, they end up in a place that can just do, with a landlord that can just do whatever they want to them. So I think we need to start looking at pushing to something like that where there is some kind of regulation for those landlords.
I agree.
Thank you.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Well, I sort of know Leah a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And I'm happy to be for our committee to be a volunteer to partner with them. So Gladys Ray Shelter has been a great, strong partner for homeless health services, which is where I worked before as the nurse practitioner at Family Health Care. And actually it is interesting timing because it was about a year ago today that
You're gonna make me cry.
I know our organization and theirs were saying goodbye to somebody who was very special to both of us, and they provided he wanted to go home to pass away, and his home was with them.
And he had housing of his own, and he chose the Gladys Ray.
Yeah, so he wanted to be at home with his family. Yeah, and they provided that, coordinated getting the family here, and it was a very dignified and just thing to do. And so if, you know, they're a great partner in the community and fierce advocates for our people. That individual was a Hunkpapa Lakota veteran, and he served in the Army and had time overseas in combat. So it was a great thing that they were able to coordinate for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to working together.
Thank you. And just another note on that, Whitney. If you haven't heard, the memorial is next Saturday for him at 5 o'clock at the shelter. His family is coming up, and they are doing a traditional with gifts and everything and food.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I know you guys have done the best and most wonderful work in the city of Fargo, and just glad that you're gonna, we're partnering with you. And yes, and it's great to hear about Goldmark, and their new public relations person is a Native American. So that's great.
I don't have any questions, but thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I guess I always have questions. So I guess my one thing is that as you make transition into housing, or is there any support that you need to actually fill the homes with things? You know, often like it's one thing to get a place, it's another thing to have, you know, a good bed and, you know, things to cook on. And if there's kids, to make sure that they have books and toys that they can learn from. Is that something that as a community, we can work together to make sure that as they move into a house, that it's really becoming a home?
Most definitely. One thing that we have talked about amongst all the shelters for years is having a central location where we can store items that are donated so they can move right into housing. Potentially what we have been doing, like I put a call out on Facebook the last 2 weeks on my personal account just saying, hey, we have people moving, we need things. I have 3 couches. I have just enough couches and stuff for everybody currently moving, but it's those things that we don't have. Mm-hmm. And it's really just us trying to go out. So if there was a way that we could come up with a good way for donations to come in and a place for storage, that's the biggest place, is the storage piece. Because we're using the harm reduction center downtown right now, but we also don't have a ton of space there. So my plan was we're gonna shove everything there. As soon as people are moving in, it's gonna clear out again, and then we can just keep doing that. But that would be a huge, huge help if we could come up with something for that. We do have a little pantry at our harm reduction center downtown also that Sonia Jensen started for like housing kits. Mm-hmm. We have some sheets, blankets, pots and pans, dishes, things are all donated. So people can literally go in there and just do shopping to pick out what they would like to move into their home. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would definitely be a huge...
Well, I think just expanding what you're doing on your personal page to like creating social media page. I feel like our community is so giving when we know what the need is. I mean, I have a whole garage full of stuff we could share,
We'll
but
take it.
yeah. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to first thank you for coming and being willing to collaborate not only with the Native American Commission, but more in depth with the Housing, Health and Wellness, and Educational and Cultural Awareness subcommittees. The reason why we had reached out to Gladys Ray is because of your demographic, your service demographic. So if you could really quick tell us how many people a month you're servicing and what percentage of the individuals are identifying as Indigenous.
Okay. The percentage of Indigenous, I am going to say, I don't have the number fresh in my head. I got held up on the phone and I didn't get my numbers done this morning. But it is at least 40%. And it is definitely the second highest white and then Native American in the shelter. And that includes all of our programs. Even when our mobile outreach program is out there, they're really interacting outside with the Native American population downtown to try to do what we can to get them connected to services. What was your other part of that question?
Just the total population served during like a month period.
Okay, in the month. That's gonna get a little tricky because we're currently doing renovations on the building. And so we have had to cut down a little bit on some of the space that we have for individuals. At the same time, it's summer, so more people are sleeping outside, choosing to be out instead of in the building. Generally, we do have, on a normal time, it's 35 beds, 25 men, 10 women. Right now, I think we are still, well, even on Sunday with the storm, we had over 30 people in the building. And we're still trying to social distance. We have the tent in the parking lot yet, so we've moved the female dorm out there. The male dorm is being fixed, like all fancied up. So people are moving all over. But it's an average of, I'm gonna say at least 25 still.
All right. Well, again, thank you for coming, and I look forward to working with you on all of these subcommittees and in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't have anything to add except that when somebody mentions the name Gladys Ray, it brings out the highest level of reverence in my soul. You know, and not just for who she was in our community as a Native leader and person, but for the work you do. So thank you so much, sincerely.
I should note that we are also working on, I moved my role. I was pretty much the program shelter program coordinator, and I've moved on to just focus on the housing piece. And one of the new programs that we are trying to set up, because once we get everybody housed, we're not gonna have people in our shelter. So we're gonna need to be there to support them. And we are coming up with, a program called We Are For the People, which came directly from Gladys Ray. That's why we're naming it that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Okay, lastly, we do have a statement from the West Fargo Morehead Indian Education. And Rebecca, you have that?
Morehead Indian Education.
Yeah,
is
Morehead's
here.
here.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we have two. Okay, we can go ahead and you can come up. We can start with you. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Dolores Gabbard, and I work with Morehead Indian Education Program. I work primarily with students grades K through 6. Currently, Morehead School District has, I think, 11 buildings, and we have another liaison that works with the preschool age students, and at Robert Asp, one of our schools that has the highest numbers for our homeless and our Native American families. And then this week we've been working on onboarding 2 new staff to our department. The first staff is Arlen Littlewolf, and the second one is Mackenzie Buckland, and they will be working primarily with students grades 7 through 12. Morehead School District, as of this year's enrollment, has approximately 544 students that identify as American Indian. Currently, we're trying to collect data for which tribes each of those students represent, and we're trying to work on some programming to collaborate with those tribes, such as we're looking at bringing in dental from Indian Health Services in some sort of partnership, but we're just in the brainstorming process right now. I think it's important that the surrounding tribes participate a little bit in the education for the students that are in the urban areas. Our population is represented by Sisseton, Fort Totten, MHA, Belcourt or Turtle Mountain, White Earth, Red Lake. Those are our highest numbers of students. If I do get invited back, I should probably have that information for you. I don't know if I can use technology or not, but so Morehead Schools, I don't know if you guys know, but we have 3 different models that we're using: in-person, hybrid, and Spud Academy. And that's just going based upon the Minnesota statewide guidelines, based upon county numbers. And so it's going to be fluid. It will change as those numbers go up and down.
Excuse me, Dolores, did you need to put something up
No,
on video?
not today.
Okay.
I was just
go ahead.
curious if next time I would be able to, if I
Sure,
needed to.
you would be, okay.
Okay. Also, one of the things that I, as an advocate for our students and our families, I've reminded during this time that a lot of our students are being raised by extended family, like grandparents and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that as things change with our numbers, that we'll keep in mind that, some of those grandparents fall into the categories that are at high risk. So, how it's going to affect our Native American students. And I think that's it.
We can go ahead and start, John.
Nothing, thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much for always, John, you said no thank you, right? Awesome, okay. I do want to say thank you so much for the Morehead Indian Ed program, not only supporting our students in the Morehead schools, but also for showing up at every single event. The numbers that you just identified, the 544 students, we are working on getting Indigenous face masks, collaborating with the Indigenous Association and Hustle Tribe, so we can get them to rock their Native pride every day in a safe way. And I look forward to working with you closely on the Education and Cultural Awareness Committee. It's really important what you do, and I always see you doing it, so thank you.
Thank you. That's also what I'd like to say is that I'm open to working with the Native American Commission on collaborations.
School supplies, do you want to talk about school supply distribution and opportunities for students who are enrolled in Morehead schools?
Sure. This week we've kind of wrapped up our school supply distribution. Right now we're just catching all of the students that missed the opportunities to come out for school supplies. I think we roughly, by the time we're all said and done, probably about 200 students have accessed school supplies. We also have distribution from the United Way, so not all of our students came to us. They may have gone to the United Way distribution as well. We as a program want to make sure that all of our students have the tools that they need for education.
I don't have any questions or anything. Thanks for coming.
Yes, thank you, Dolores. And I have no questions, but you are doing a great job.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. Thanks for coming, Dolores, and for all you guys are doing.
Thank you, Dolores, for coming, and appreciate all the work you do throughout the whole community.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming and being a partner in the Indian Ed program with Fargo and Morehead schools.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, and then I think, Rebecca, do you have the statement for the?
I do. So Melody Stabner was invited to be at this meeting as well. She's the director of the Fargo, West Fargo Indian Ed program, and she wasn't able to be here, so she contacted me as I'm the liaison from the Board of Education. So there's a handout. Everyone on the commission, I believe, has a printout of the Indian Ed program for the 2020-21 school year. And as Melody and I talked before this meeting, and she said, of course, some of this, maybe even a majority of what is on this calendar will be needing to take place virtually, but that the plan is to carry out everything on the calendar virtually if it can't be in person. So I wanted to let you know that. And then she provided me with some information to share with you. So I'm referring to the text that she sent me. So you see me looking on my phone, that's what I'm reading from. Normally I would not have my phone on at meetings because I want to make sure that people know that I'm paying attention to the topics at hand. So this is from Melody. Indian education staff of the West Fargo Public Schools recognizes that there are many challenges to the start of this school year, and we are continuing to support the Native American students and families of Fargo and West Fargo through the hybrid learning process and distance learning. If you are having difficulty registering your child in school, getting the supplies needed, or having technical difficulties, we can help you with that. This past week, Indian Education hosted our annual school supply drive and served over 230 students with school supplies and backpacks. If any families did not get school supplies, you can call the Indian Education office at 446-3052. That's 446-3052. Indian Education will continue to provide professional development for staff on the North Dakota Native American Essential Understandings using Zoom. 40 teachers have been trained in the past 2 years in the Fargo Public Schools, and they will be bringing the team of champions back again this year to keep the momentum and engagement going. Enrollment is open right now on Teach to Learn. That's spelled teach, T-E-A-C-H, with the number 2, and then learn. Enrollment is open right now on Teach to Learn for teachers and staff to sign up for the 3rd year of training. We know how important it is that Native American students see themselves in the curriculum, and they are so excited to be able to offer this to teachers that are interested in learning more about the tribes in North Dakota and the Native American teachings and culture. Mentors and liaisons will provide ongoing support through phone calls, Zoom, Google Classrooms, Facebook, Instagram, Indian Education websites, and school-wide calling and emails. Indian Education will be offering most of the events that I mentioned on this calendar virtually throughout the year until further notice of the current situation changing. Please like the West Fargo Public Schools Indian Education Facebook page to follow many of the events, updates, and cultural speakers that will be posted throughout the school year. You can also check out the Indian Education page on the Fargo or West Fargo Public Schools website. If you have any questions regarding services, they welcome to hear from you. And again, the phone number is 446-3052, and the website is fargo.k12.nd.us/Indian Education. So I know if there are additional questions that this commission has, that information, I can take questions down, or the questions can be directed directly to Melody at that phone number or through that website. Thank you.
Thank you. We can start with John. Is there any questions for her?
No, thank you, Madam Chair.
Chelsea?
No, thank you.
No questions.
I don't have any questions.
Either do I. I know everybody's doing a great job.
No questions from me. Thanks for reading that, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. I have no questions right now.
Thank you, everyone. I did also wanted to say, in conversations with Melody, if it's something that the commission is interested in entertaining, as the school board's liaison to this commission, I would be happy to provide a report, a small report at each meeting, if that is something that we end up deciding that we want to have included in our agenda. So if we do that, I would work with Melody prior to each of the Native American Commission meetings to prepare a small report that could be shared. So just wanted to let you know that I would be open to that.
Okay,
I think I'll just add that I think it would be part of our subcommittee report then as a whole.
Makes sense.
And thank you to all of you, and we look forward to collaborating with you. Okay, next, each member expressed their subcommittee preference to staff, and so subcommittees are recommended as written. And is anyone not comfortable with the list on education and culture awareness, health and wellness, and housing? Do we want to go ahead and nominate and vote on committee chairs today, or table it till next month?
Lenore, I would ask that we maybe table it, just in the interest of time. We only have 9 minutes left.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
For the sake of, could you add my name to the Housing
Sure.
Subcommittee, please?
Okay, thank you, John.
Sorry that I didn't get that in time.
Okay, we will go ahead and help put that in postpone. And then, staff will share COVID-13 updates. Is that you, Whitney? Or who do we have doing that?
That's Catlin.
Yeah, just
Catlin, okay.
in the interest of time, you can refer to the packet update, and Nicole, if there's anything you want to add right now, feel free.
No, just here for any questions. I think we have a pretty extensive memo in the packet that talks about funding that we've received from CARES Act through the state. On Monday nights, or Tuesday night's City Commission agenda upcoming, it's on Tuesday instead of Monday because of Labor Day, there's another request working for quarantine and isolation support for people that are unhoused, and looking at setting up the former police department as quarantine and isolation for as we go into winter. So that's probably, staff is probably spending about 30 to 40% of our time on COVID-related responses in partnership with public health. So feel free to ask us any questions as they come up, or if you're seeing needs and gaps in the community, let us know.
Okay, did you want to give any updates, Whitney, on COVID?
Well, I will make it super brief. The planning staff had asked me to do that. I think that the most important message to get out to the community is prior to being a mental health nurse practitioner, my specialty kind of within nursing was public and community health, and there's a lot of misinformation, I think, that's circulated about COVID-19. It's not fake. I can assure you that. One of my coworkers that passed away from it, his family could probably assure you of that, that he was a very healthy, vibrant gentleman before he contracted that condition and passed away. And it's been a very difficult thing. This is an unanticipated event. We haven't had a pandemic to this proportion since the Spanish flu pandemic in the early 1800s. So there's literally the only people that would be alive that experienced that would have been newborns or toddlers. So they wouldn't have had any recollection of it. And it's important to stay, in the know. Like, people, I think, look at the 6% death rate and they think, well, that's not that high, but it has taken almost 200,000 American lives so far. And when you look at, they say, well, it's not as deadly as something like Ebola. That's true. If Ebola was circulated in this room with 100 people in it, probably everyone would be dead. So would anybody be able to travel to Morehead with it? No. So that's what makes a disease like that actually less of a threat. In a room of 100 of us, if 6 of us died, how many people does that leave to go all over this community, to different states, to different parts of the world? So I think that's important to keep in mind. It's very much is a big ask to do these, continue to do these things for other people. These are not for us. These are for the people that you come into contact with today. If you have contracted that virus already. And, you know, I will say on behalf of my colleagues that are working in those intensive care units right now in ERs, they're exhausted, but they are thankful for every little bit that people are willing to do, because it makes their work a little bit less intense. They don't have to watch so many people. They don't have to lose so many people. So just kind of to make sure that we're checking information and really trusting scientists and doctors. I know that can be hard because that's been something that's been used against us in the past. But the people who had led the movement of this information truly were in it for the right reasons. In fact, the doctor that discovered COVID-19 died from COVID-19 because of his efforts in trying to stop the spread of it outside of his country. So they really were in it with their hearts and souls. So I just wanted everybody to keep that in mind and keep safe and think about getting a flu shot.
Yes. Madam Chair, in the interest of time, I make a motion to table the rest of the agenda and allow our elders to speak.
Okay, yes, we can get an update from the Indigenous Association later. And so moving forward with that, we would like to ask the elders to come forward for comment. Sandy and Joe and Olivia.
Hello, good to see each of you again. My name is Sandy Berlin. I'm enrolled in Whitehock. My dad was from Red Lake. And I've also lived in this community for well over 30 years now. So now I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren who also are in school. So my virus, one granddaughter does, or she's just recovering from COVID. I had my third test and thank God it's, clear. But yeah, I guess, and that's part of also what I've been doing in the community for the past probably 15 or more years is having conversations with the Native American community. It's called Sweet Medicine. We have not become a nonprofit agency. We've, talked about it, spent a lot of time on that. But, in a lot of sense, even like this environment like this, it's not really conducive to the Native American way. And so it's, I guess right now, though, what we are, kind of what brought us together was the adversity coming around the sweat lodge. And it seems like we don't have a lot of elders, standing up, a lot of strong Native American men for our children, our families, or our community. But what we've been doing is meeting on the phone, and we're actually trying to get on Zoom. We need to get some more computers, laptops, so the elders can join that way, because these conversations are very important. And I guess we want to help. The elders want to help, for whatever it is in education, helping the kids, foster homes, alcoholism, all the different issues that we face, homelessness, and for many years I worked in the homeless community. And I faced adversity there, and I get so sentimental when I think about that as being the pilot program for the Gladys Ray, and I know what it's like to walk in a room and to see all the people that are homeless. It's our Native American men, the people of color, and it's like, what's going on out there that these men are not able to provide for their families or themselves? And it's the same way today. Like she had said, Leah said, that it's so statistics, that's where we show up. We're on the prison rolls, suicides, depression, all of that. And so although we've kind of worked, in the shadows maybe, we want to come here today, but to offer our support and to be able to help, especially the Native American Commission and the community, the people in the community, and to know that when we lead, and somebody told me this a long time ago, when we lead from behind, so nobody's left behind. I could go on here some more, but I'd like to let Joe speak. A very well-respected man.
Well, got a lot of things on my mind, but listen to everybody that one thing about education, that's very important. I'm not talking about schooling. I'm talking about life, and actually this way of the sweat lodge. That's very important because it, we didn't get to start practicing till 1972. And even doing these sweat lodges myself, it involves a lot of young ones, teaching them parenting and many other things, respect, and also goes into the families, healing, bringing back together that, I guess, community and everything. I've run these sweat lodges for many years. I didn't just pick it up one day. It came from a family, and I come from a family of chiefs and healers. And, I didn't just learn. This was taught to me as a child. So there's certain protocol with that, and we don't pass that anymore. We've lost a lot in our Indian community in native ways. That's a part of education because a lot of people, look at us and assume many things about us automatically, about the savages, everything. But we're actually a peaceful people, and we have a lot of respect, and our women are very important and very sacred to us, just like that sweat lodge. And our children are the next important thing, sacred, very sacred. That's why we call them Wakasia, the sacred ones. And even going into our chanupas, the pipes, that's not just a pipe. Many people have those, but they know nothing about it or don't use it when they have to. It's about healing and many things. But just a little history right here, education. How many know what's about a pipe here, really? How many know here that about a pipe? What does it mean? Do you know what it means? Well, I'll just a quick educational thing. Well, a pipe, for instance, our women, we call them wea, but that doesn't mean woman. You break that down to we, that means sun, and ia means stone. Well, anyway, that means that stone part of that pipe, that's the woman. And then our men are wichasha, but that doesn't mean men either. You break that down. We, of course, is sun. Cha means like wood, and then sa is red, in the sense of main secret redwood, but it represents that stem of that pipe. Also, you put those two pieces together, and you ask these prayers and load it, all of sacred life and creation. And that's what you get. When you put those two pieces together, you get that thing, that sacred marriage between the man and woman. And then when you say those prayers, you're asking for that new life, creation, and forward. And that's the babies, the little ones. That's what that prayer is. It's forever. It's the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. That's what we get, that sacred life and creation. But this also goes along with our sweat lodges and our ceremonies. And all of us, we are that sacred person. So, I've been teaching things for many years in schools and universities, and I work in the treatment field and mental health field. And, I had to get an education. I'm a double master's, but that doesn't mean I'm smart. It means I got that piece of paper so I can do these things or go into the legals or whatever. Otherwise, I'm just a plain old Indian that, people look at me and funny sometimes, but I usually tell people when I'm not as stupid as I look, But, but these things are important, along with the education, the life, the health, even with this COVID thing. That's one thing that we use is our smudging and our teas, sage, cedar tea, different teas, the bearroot teas, also, for smudging our children, everything, our families. We use the sweat lodge for healing and to, get rid of this COVID stuff too. But we're really careful about what we do. We're all at risk for everything. We've lost so much of our families, through boarding school and other things. We try to pass on what we do, and we do share. Sometimes we go into the sweat lodge, we share with everybody. When we're inside that sweat lodge, it doesn't matter if you're white, red, yellow, green, black, whatever. But we invite the people, we're all as one. When it's darkness in there, we have no color. We're all the same. And each one of these peoples represent a sacred direction. Yellow, east. The red man, that's us from the west. The black man from the south. And the white man we consider from the north. But if you think about it, it's not meant as a direction, it's meant as a unity. Because we have 4 directions no matter where we're at. And then we have 2, one up and one down, which is the Creator and the Mother Earth. And it's all important to us. Without the Mother Earth, we wouldn't live. Just like our water. And each of those things that represent the sweat lodge too also represents us. For instance, like the rocks that we use, they're the sacred grandfathers, the oldest thing on earth. We wake those up to come and help us. Those grandfathers, they've seen everything, seen many things that who knows how long they've been here. And next thing is that wood, which we call the wood spirit, that cha. Well, that's us also, But like those rocks, that's like our blood, all those minerals and everything, we're the same. And like that wood frame that covers that lodge, that's like us too, like our skin and bones, the same properties. And like the water, nothing can live without that. Because we're like, it's been a long time since I've been out of school, but we're about 86% water. And that's another thing. But we call that a sacred life giver. That represents our woman too, because they are the sacred life givers. And then that youngest one, that fire, we call it the unstable one. It's like our children. But with us too, that fire is lit when we're conceived. That fire is lit when we're born. And then the fire goes out when we pass on to the spirit world. But we don't play with these things. It's very, very sacred. And it took us many years, and who knows how long before that we've used these things, So I just ask for a lot of respect and sacredness of that. That's a very important thing to us. I've done lodges and prisons all over the States, with children, schools, wherever, we need to, I guess, it's also the womb of Mother Earth, so we have to respect that and keep it clean, and just like everything else. So that's my thought on, our life. It's our livelihood. It's a sacred life, and that's what it's about. So,
I just wanted to add too, if there's any elders that would like to, be a part of these discussions, People can reach me at berlinsandra@yahoo.com. And we're, right now, you have to be 60 at least or older, and all right, 60 or?
I'm only 39, so.
Yeah, but thank you for allowing us to speak here. And again, we're here to, help whatever the issues, there are children, our family, we're all in this together, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and we're glad to be in collaboration with you, and also we're willing to be taught. And the next meeting is October 1st, 2020. This meeting is adjourned.